If you want to. All right. I am super excited to hear from all of these ladies tonight. If you are brand new to Plexus and you've never, Courtney is shoving pizza in her face. Good. You deserve it on your birthday, right? That's awesome. If you are brand new to Plexus, if you have not used the products yet, I hope that listening to these stories tonight inspires you. I hope that maybe you feel a sense of hope that maybe these products can help you like they have helped so many of us. If you're like me, when I first got started, I was a little bit skeptical. And I was like, how can one thing like help with this many things? Like this seems like some miracle thing. And like, I don't know about this. And I want to encourage you that we are not just blowing smoke. It is not too good to be true. The Plexus products really do get to the root of so many different health issues because they balance your gut microbiome, which is related to so many things, work to help maintain healthy blood glucose levels, which is also related to a ton of different health issues, and reduce overall just like puffiness everywhere in your body. They don't like when we say the word inflammation, so we say puffiness everywhere in your body. And that is why you can hear these products helping with so many different things for so many different people, because they really get to the root of things. So I hope tonight you are inspired and have a sense of hope that this can help you. So I think Brianna is going to get started and share first, and then we're going to hear from Dana and Haley too. So go ahead, Brianna, take it away.
Hi, my name is Brianna. I am a teacher by day, so this is my summer break, and then I love to share and help people with Plexus by night. I'm 30 years old. I have two dogs that I really, really love, a boyfriend that we travel all the time, visit family, and so it's been just such a blessing to be able to have a little bit of extra money for those things. But I'm here to share my health story. I absolutely love like health and wellness. I've always have since I like graduated high school 10 plus years ago. And so it's always been super, super important to me to take care of myself. And so 1.5 years ago, it was the end of like 2021. I think it was the last week in December when I actually ordered my products. But 1.5 years ago, prior to ordering, a few months before, I was dealing with really like weird digestive issues that I had never dealt with before. I would wake up in the morning with like a bubbly gut, gas, and it would last over half the day, at least until lunchtime. And I didn't really know what was going on because I hadn't changed anything. I was still eating the same. I was still moving my body. And so I just had no idea what was going on. And so my mom and my sister had ordered Plexus probably 4 or 6 months prior. And so I knew that what they were taking would help with these digestive issues that suddenly came up. So I ordered the last week, like I said, the last week in 2021, and I was skeptical, but I knew how they were helping my sister, my mom, and then people that we just knew. And so I was super hopeful and excited to start. The really amazing thing was within weeks of starting the products, I already noticed that I wasn't having like the digestive issues anymore. They were practically gone, to be honest. And I don't know if this was just because it was my body's reaction to having like really good things inside of it, or if it was my consistency. But I knew that like these were helping me. And so I continued to stay consistent with the products every day. I don't think in the first like 3 months that I missed a single time. Like I always took them. But after about 2.5 months, I noticed that I was at work, and typically around like 1 or 2 o'clock, I would notice if I had like a prep or something and I was on the computer, I would notice like my head bob, and I would need to get up and get a drink or grab a snack or an energy drink or just take a walk down the hallway. And after about 2.5 months of taking the products, that didn't happen for like a week straight. And I remember reaching out to my friend Lacey, who she's not on this call right now, but I reached out to her and I was like, this just happened? Like, is this a thing? Like, the only thing I've changed is plexus. And so I realized at that moment, like, that gut health and these products were more than just your digestive system. And so that was kind of my turning point of like really wanting to know more about the products and like why they were helping me. And I actually started to, after I had that moment of like that aha moment with my energy, I started to share, like, I posted about it on Facebook, and I realized that it's not normal to be tired in the afternoon. And realized that there was a lot of people that were like me, struggling and just looking for something that would help them in that way. So I started sharing, but I continued to have like more success. So after about 3 months or so, it's between like 3 months and 4 months, I think. I noticed that I wasn't like, my hunger levels had changed. I wasn't like hungry all the time or needing a snack in between meals. And I was super satisfied after I ate. And then I also noticed that my mood had improved. I don't know if I specifically noticed like it significantly improved, but people were telling me like, stop being so positive. So I realized, or I like was like, okay, that's got to be the products too. And then find out that actually 90% of serotonin is created in the gut. And so that was a huge, like, I didn't realize that it was connected to that, which was amazing. And from that point forward, I think it was from like that month 3 when I had those wins where I was like, you know what, these really, really work. And they work in many ways, not just for your digestive system. And so 1.5 years later, I am still taking the products. I have missed a few times, but I am still really consistent in taking everything every day. Those like small wins with my mood and my energy and my cravings and just my digestive system have slowly improved. It wasn't like a one day I was struggling and now I'm fine. It was like a slow improvements, and I just feel so much better now than I even did at that 3-month mark. And I really truly love like sharing with people about them, and just sharing with people that I love and care about, because there's so many of us that just are living like tired or living with tummy issues. And like, those are things that are not normal. And we don't need to live that way. And these products work and they help as long as you stick to it and you're consistent. So that's a huge part of my story. And then just in sharing them, it's been so nice to not have to worry as much financially. I'm able to, like I said, like my boyfriend and I, we travel, like I go to Denver tomorrow. So like, that's just what we do. I'm able to volunteer. I said I have 2 dogs. I rescued both of them. So now I'm able to volunteer at the shelter where I rescued them more often than I used to. And it's just such a blessing to help people that I really love and care about. So I think I'm going to hand it off to Dana, I think is going next. But if you are curious about like what I started with, what I take now, even just like how I started to like share my win with people that I love and I care about, or you just want to know more about my story, you can send a message to whoever invited you or send a message to me, find me on Facebook or whatever, and I am happy to share. So I'm going to hand it off. Dana, I don't think we can hear you. I think you're muted.
I think, Dana, like in the lower left-hand corner, you should be able to unmute. Unless M, are you able to unmute, Dana?
No, I clicked the ask to unmute, but it's not working. So I'm not really sure. I think that's on her. She's got to unmute it.
Okay, why don't we skip ahead and have Haley go, and Dana, we will figure it out and get you unmuted. So Haley, why don't you go ahead and share your story, and Dana will work on you.
Hi guys, my name is Haley. I've been with Plexus now for about a year this past March, so coming up about a year and a half. And I just have to tell you guys, like anyone who has met me, I just need to like get my shakes out. Like I could stand up in a crowd and like dance and be absolutely crazy, but the minute I do this, I'm like a chihuahua. I'm like, oh, okay. So bear with me. I get a little nervous. Uh, I always tell people that I am a lifer with Plexus because even if I stop selling the products, I'm always going to use them because they have impacted my life so much. My gut issues have been with me my entire life. I still have adult anxiety thinking back to I was in middle school and riding on the bus and we ate Pizza Hut and I like threw up cheese pizza everywhere. And as you know, like at a middle schooler, that's like very traumatizing. In my early 20s, my issues got worse. I would wake up and I would have severe nosebleeds. I mean, like running down my face. I had Harold's patches. What they are is they look like ringworm and they go to where the heat is on your body. So I had ringworm that ran all the way up and down my body and under my like bra straps and stuff. And then I would have migraines that were like light sensitive. And so I actually like, I lived in this tiny little apartment alone and I knew how many steps it took if I closed my eyes and like had to crawl to the bathroom from different spots in my room. So that's how bad I was. That's how sick I was. I started going to doctors and no one really had an answer for me. So they were like, okay, we'll get you an endoscopy. So they did an endoscopy on me and they were like, oh, here you go. Here's a bunch of pills to help with your sensitive stomach. And it was like looking at my grandma's pill binder. It was antacids. It was anything you could think of. And I called my mom. I was like in my early 20s and she's like, no, this is not how you're going to live. She's like, so she sent me to a naturopath. So I went to a naturopath and they found out that I have severe food allergies. So bear with me. I am allergic to dairy, eggs, corn, almonds, bananas, pineapple, and gluten. It makes me the worst house guest, but it also makes me like the worst person to eat out with. But I cut all those things out and I was happy. I was still suffering, but everything had completely almost cleared up. So I was happy with how I was. Flash forward to about my 30s, early 30s. My husband and I have 2 kids. With both pregnancies, I was really sick and I actually was diabetic with both. But with my second, I was actually insulin resistant. And so had to take insulin, sorry, but they had to keep upping it because everything was just so off about my body. It was a really stressful pregnancy. So then once my daughter was born, I was able to get off the insulin, but I developed a horrible strep throat, which they had to put me on like, I think it was like 2 or 3 rounds of antibiotics. And it just set me back like from the beginning. I felt like I was living in my apartment again and I was alone. Like, but I was also trying to raise a newborn and a 2-year-old being sick. So I knew there was rigmarole. I wrote down everything I ate. I took pictures of my stomach. I did everything so that when I went to the doctor, I was fully prepared because I was like, there was no way you can add anything to my allergy list. So I went in, I took all my pictures, blah, 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 and they're like, it's in your head, it's anxiety. And anyone that has anxiety knows like that's like the most soul crushing thing to hear because they're like, oh, it's just all in your head. You're like, no, look at these pictures. I have pictures of my stomach. Like I got to the point that I wouldn't eat with anyone that I didn't know because I could sit down and by the time I took like even just like a bite of allergy safe food, my stomach was so swollen. I looked like I was 9 months pregnant. Like people wouldn't believe me and I would take a bite, wait a couple of minutes and stand up. And people were like, oh my gosh, like that is not normal. I actually even busted off a pair of like a button off of a couple of my pairs of jeans. I joke you not, it's very attractive. So once again, they're like, take Miralax. So I was like, you know what, this is what we're gonna do. I went and bought a whole bunch of Miralax and I was to the point that my anxiety was just taking over. I was taking Miralax 2 to 3 times a day and nothing was helping. So finally I was like, you know what, let's give Plexus a chance. I had exhausted everything else. I had bought everything off the Target shelves. Even though I did like no research on it, I just went and grabbed anything that said like gut health. And I was like, let's try it, but I was like, okay, let's do this. So I tried Plexus and I can honestly say since the day I started since I started Plexus, which I do the triplex, which is the 3 key things if you're new, I have only missed like a handful of days in the year and a half, but it has completely changed my life. It has been the biggest impact and I never can go back to the way I was feeling. Sorry, let me figure out where I was in notes. So when I originally started Plexus, it was all for gut health. I had no clue all the different things that would like fall into place. One of the big things is my anxiety runs my life less. My panic attacks are less frequent. I still have those days of doom and gloom, but they're much more manageable and they feel less heavy. I can kind of come out of them a little bit easier and they're less paralyzing is a great word to describe them. My hair and skin have changed so much. I used to buy bulk concealer. Like I should find a picture for you guys. Like I always got teased for having like dark raccoon circles under my eyes. And I was the person that like when I went to Sephora, I'd buy like 6 concealers because I was terrified of running out, and I like caked everything. And I actually didn't notice that change happening with my dark circles until a couple months ago. I was cleaning out my makeup and I like opened my drawer and like all this unused concealer fell out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not even using that. So that was really cool, which is something I didn't even realize was going to happen. My energy levels were the first thing I noticed. I'm not a morning person. I am like a push snooze kind of person. And now my mornings are for me. I wake up, I'm energized. I love working out. I got back into that, but also like they said before, in the middle of the day, I'm not crashing. Yes, I'm still tired once in a while because being a mom is rough, but I'm not sitting there falling asleep like I used to. Oh, okay. I have to share this one. I didn't have this in my notes. My biggest thing is, okay, so back in the day, blah, 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 before all my food allergies, the minute I would eat something, I can tell. So about 2 weeks ago, oh, it was about a month or two ago, sorry, timeline. My husband and I went to Ruby Tuesday after church. And I told them all my food allergies, the same old thing I do every single time I eat. And they brought it out, and like the steamed broccoli that was supposed to have nothing on it looked a little too shiny. But I was like, no, I asked the lady, and I am like the person that refuses to like send their food back. I will just not eat it. My husband's like, no, it's fine. He's like, you told him. Within like 3 bites of eating broccoli, I looked at my husband and I could just feel it. And I was like, that had butter on it. I had butter on it. And so the lady waitress walks by and she's like, oh, I forgot you can't have butter. And so I panicked. Jeff was like, get in the car, because he's like, we have no clue what's going to happen. Like, we need to find you a bathroom. And TMI, sorry. But so we get home and I like doubled up on my probiotics. I doubled up on my bio cleanse, and I took my second pink drink of the day, you guys. Back in the day, that would have been debilitating. That would have knocked me on my butt for 2 to 3 days. That night I had a stomach ache. I had a little bit of swelling. The next morning I was completely fine. It was the biggest, like I was in tears. Even my husband was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen you recover that quickly from being like getting one of your allergies. So that is just one of my biggest things. Like it was a game changer. I actually have the photos. So if anyone is interested and has food allergies, I will send you a photo, because I took like pictures and I like even kept the timestamp, because I'm like, this was an hour. But okay. So with that saying that, I don't take gut health lightly, because I've seen firsthand the effect it can have on your life. So thank you guys for letting me chat your ear off. Trust me, I could talk so much longer, but I will not bore you with all my stories. If you have any questions, you can once again ask me. You can ask the person who sent you here, and I can help you through with any food allergies or give them the information that I have. So thank you guys.
Haley, thank you so much for sharing. And Dana is ready to go. We got her unmuted. So go ahead, Dana.
Well, it was a long time coming, but I made it. It's something in my settings is what the problem was. Anyway, so my story is a little different than probably most. I'll start with a little bit about myself. I have 2 boys, one that is 32 and one that is 25. I have 5 horses. I have 2 dogs and 2 cats, and I love them all. But my story starts way back when I was 22 years old. I actually fell 20 feet down a utility tunnel. I went feet first, so I hit concrete, and I took the jar of that from my feet all the way up to my shoulders, basically. So, of course, right after that, I was in the hospital. I was in rehab. They said I wouldn't walk. I proved them wrong there. And then with medicine and therapy and all this and that, water therapy, and I think I pretty much did everything possible. But I was walking, and I ended up actually getting a full-time job as a 911 dispatcher. And I did that for 20 years. And then as I got older, everything started to, catch up with me, and the arthritis started kicking in. And then one surgery led to another. And I ended up with like 3 back surgeries by 2015. It was 1982, I believe, when the accident actually happened. And so I did surgeries on my back. They placed rods in there. I had both my hips replaced. And I was struggling, but I was still working. And when I got to be about, I suppose, 40 years old, it got to the point where it was getting so bad that I wasn't sleeping at night. I had terrible constipation because I had been on pharmaceuticals for so many years. And I actually started riding my bike because my orthopedic doctors thought maybe it would help my hips a little bit. At that point, I wasn't 50 years old yet, so they frown upon, doing hip replacement before you're 50, because of course they only last so long, and he wanted to do it once. So he said, well, buy a bicycle and get, moving those hips and see if we can just prolong it a little bit. So I did that, And I was doing really well. I was probably 2, 3 months into biking. And this one day I was out on the road like I'd been for, the past 3 months, and I had a bright reflective vest on. And it was a clear sunny day, about 11 o'clock in the morning. And all of a sudden a pickup come from behind me and actually hit me from behind. He is one of those old pickups with the big mirrors that go off to the side. He thought he had moved over far enough. There was nothing coming from the other direction and nothing behind him. So I just assumed he'd take the lane completely, but he just chose to move over a little bit and got me with that big mirror right in the middle of my back. So my 2 breaks from my first fall was one thing, but then I ended up having another break from the third fall, or from the pickup accident. So that's when everything really changed for me. After that, medicine wasn't working, physical therapy wasn't working. And I was in a state of depression. I really didn't want to be around people. I pretty much had given up on everything because I was riding my horse. I shouldn't have been. I was told not to, but when you do that since you're 3 years old, you just do it. And I paid for it, all night long. I never slept. Well, then one day I was on social media and I seen something from Lacey Wilcox, who actually had been my physical therapist for years. I trusted her, and she had talked about her son Eli and how she started these Plexus products because of him, and to try to help with the constipation. Well, that was a big thing for me because I'd go 10, 12 days and maybe go a little bit, but that's with, Miralaxes and all sorts of stool softeners and all sorts of that. And I did all that, and still I was only going once every 10 days. And I went to doctors and had colonoscopies, and they could actually never do a colonoscopy on me completely because I just never was cleaned out enough, which is kind of embarrassing, but it's what it was. And so anyway, I messaged Lacey and I said, what's the deal with this with Eli? Did it really do what you're saying? And she's like, yeah. She said, and of course, at that point, I'm thinking to myself, well, there's no way these supplements are going to help me with pain. I just felt that with all the metal I had in my body, and I was so many years into it, I just didn't think there was any hope for that. But I was on board for the constipation part because I thought, well, even if that could let up and I felt better doing that, it'd be a plus. Well, then she started talking to me about ease. And I said, okay, well, I'd give it a try. And she talked about doing the loading dose. And so we did that. And it was very fast into, I bet you it was like a week. And my constipation was slowly going away. And within 2 weeks, I was going normal, which was crazy for me because I'd gone so many years not going, and all the Miralax and all that stuff, nothing worked. And so if that's all that would have happened, I would have been happy with it. But after about 2-3 weeks in, the ease was starting to help me a little bit. I was starting to wean back on my oxycodone and my hydrocodones and my Flexerils, all the muscle relaxers and all that stuff. And I was completely off at that point, the anxiety medicine, which I'm not really sure what the deal with that was because I hadn't really took the Vital Biome or anything like that at that point. So I don't know if it was just the triplex that I had started that was helping me cope or whatever. Maybe just the fact that I wasn't so constipated. Maybe that was why I was starting to feel better. But anyway, I did that and I was doing really well with that. And then I'd have days where I maybe would do a little bit too much at the barn, or maybe rode a little longer than I should have or whatever. And then I'd have a little bit of a setback. And so then I'd always jump back into that loading dose again. And every time I did that, it would bring me back down. So I was always getting ahead of my pain or whatever. And it's been awesome for me. I'm back doing all the things I love. I ride, I saddle my own horse now. I clean the barn. I even carry hay bales, which I haven't done in years and years. So other than that, and then another added bonus was I never really started this for weight loss, but I actually ended up losing 35 pounds. And I had lost I suppose 15 or 20 pounds prior to Plexus, but then I was at kind of a standstill, nothing was happening. And as soon as I started with this triplex and everything was starting to move, and I was going to the bathroom, that was probably where I lost the 30 pounds, honestly, because I'd been so constipated for so many years. I'm sure it was stored way up inside me somewhere. And so, so I got that and I never felt better. So I guess that's kind of my story. Probably a little different than most, but I one other thing I did after that last back surgery, I ended up with a lot of neuropathy in my left leg because of the rod. When he replaced the rod, he bumped some of my nerve endings. And so I've had a lot of neuropathy in my left leg. So off and on, I've had to take the nerve supplement, which has really helped for that. And I have probably, it's been 3 months now since I've had to take any nerve. So it's kind of resolved that so, I mean, I feel like, when I started, I was taking 6 BioClans and now I'm taking 2. And most nights I take, or most days I take 2 of the E's. And I did add in active right away in the morning with my E's, because I was speaking with another gal and she was telling me how much relief she had by adding E's with the active and taking it on an empty stomach. And that's been a real big difference for me. I see a big change just on that. So I guess that I'd recommend, if anybody's taking it for inflammation or whatever, that they add that active in there, because it just adds to it and you feel so much better. So I guess that's all I have to say. If anybody has any questions for me, please reach out or get back to whoever invited you.
Brianna, thank you so much for sharing. I like that you just casually throw in there that you lost 35 pounds. That is incredible. Like, that is incredible. And I know that's not why you started. And I know that's not the life-changing part for you, but it's just amazing, like, what our bodies can do when they're in balance. Like, when we get things balanced out, like, our body just gets back the way it's supposed to be. We weren't made to feel yucky, like Brianna said. Dana, Emily asked, how long did it take you to lose 35 pounds with Plexus?
It took about 9 months.
9 months. Yeah. So it's not like, I mean, you're not going to lose 20 pounds
No,
in a week. Like,
but then I wasn't trying either. I mean, I wasn't really watching when I was eating all that. I mean, I've actually been a fairly good eater. I don't think I've ever been a bad eater, but I had so much bloating and stuff. And I really think that was the constipation, all the toxins from that. And I think once I started eliminating all that out of me, it just kind of slowly went down. And I feel like it's more that than anything else.
yeah, 100%. Like, just when your body is in balance, it's amazing.
And I have to say, I actually am more social than I ever been. Like I used to be really social. Like back in the day when I did horse shows and stuff, we had a great time. And but when I got kind of depressed and just felt like there has got to be something better to this life than living like this, and asking God just for some help, and he heard me eventually, and it's been almost a year now that I've been on Plexus. And I have to say, just like the other gal talked, I have never missed a day. I mean, if I go somewhere, that's the first thing I do is I pack all my BioClans, my Pro by 5s, my actives, my E's, and I just take it all with me and I never forget it. And I really believe that's key to everything, because I've had a couple people, in my family that, hit and miss, and I say, it's not going to work. You have to take it. And of course they went back on it. And it was my sister, and she was taking the X Factor Plus for her hot flashes. And she thought, here and there, taking one day, oh, it's better. So she didn't take it. Well, it didn't work that way. Well, now she's full time back on it and she's doing really well.
Yep. Yeah. This is not a quick fix. It takes time to balance your body, but with time and consistency and working with the people who helped you order your products, we're here to help you. You can see some awesome results. So that is awesome. Thank you so much, all of you, for sharing. I hope that you all feel inspired tonight by these stories. And if you can relate to any of them, please feel free to reach out, ask more questions. We want to help you. But just do it. Take the plunge and get started, because it works. It really does. I hope you all have a good night. Thanks for being on. Happy birthday again, Courtney.
Happy birthday, Courtney.